You're listening to the Simply Strategic Ministry podcast hosted by Patrick Weichel. Our goal is to help you grow your ministry through simple strategies and scalable systems. With over a decade of ministry experience, we know that these strategies and systems will bring value to you as a leader and to your entire team.
Hey, thanks for joining us for another episode of the podcast. I'm Patrick Weichel, your host, and I'm joined in the studio today with a friend of mine, Chandler Boyce. Chandler, it's good to have you, dude. Glad to be able to jump on a conversation and talk simple strategies for ministry, dude.
Yeah, man, excited to be here. Honored that you guys reached out, and good to hang out with some old friends and some new friends, and love the content you guys have been putting out. And honestly, I'll say that, even what you guys have been on social media putting out and doing, it's definitely been inspiring or encouraging for me to put out good content, but being consistent too. I think that's the biggest thing with social media now, whether it's YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or whatever, is just really being consistent and then putting out good content. And it's not easy either. So I know it's a lot of work. I don't, unless you've been in it or doing it, you don't realize how much work. And I'm not the greatest planner either. So sometimes I'm just okay, what do we, what am I going to talk about today?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good. So Chandler and I met in Northwest Arkansas. I don't know if you actually even remember this, but Danny Tuxhorn did a thing called The Network, and you came and spoke. You were still at Youth America. So, dude, Chandler started Free Church Media, and you want to talk about that a little bit and what that is? It's still up and running and
it's still
providing
going.
digital resources for people.
Yeah, Free Church Media. So I love the local church. I love pastors. I love youth pastors. I ran a camp for many years, and so I had a lot of relationships with youth pastors, and I got to talk to them and hear a lot of their, the wins and the struggles, and we realized that a lot of churches just don't have the budget, the resources, the team to put out good, high quality media, videos, sermon series, graphics. Even guys that are bivocational, their time is short. And so even sermon notes and stuff like that. So basically it's a free website for churches that they can get full sermon series. We've got devotionals, we've got bumper videos, and we're always trying to add new stuff. So if you are looking for some good quality content that is absolutely free, there's no bait and switch here. Not it's not just free and then you get on there and the good stuff's not free. That's annoying. But that's Free Church Media. And it's awesome, and it's been a cool tool. It's been cool to see God, use that and kind of help churches and pastors and youth ministries, young adult ministries. Even, there's senior pastors on there. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out and go steal everything. Just download all of it. Just rip it all off.
Yeah, no, it's great, man. It's, I definitely can personally vouch for it. I've used it before. You may have seen some of your stuff pop up on United City Youth, and it just,
that's the biggest honor. The most exciting thing for me is when I see we get tagged, or if I follow someone and I see that's I love it. It's just I'm glad. I'm please use it. It's great. So that's cool.
Yeah. And it's good. And it's so good, content too. Sometimes free kind of means knockoff or cheap or not great, but the assets and the resources that you guys have are really amazing. And like you said, for us, even at Simply Strategic, we want to do something simple. We want to do something strategic. We want to do something scalable. And we like to say a lot of times something that doesn't cost more money or take more staff. And so if you're in the student world, sometimes you're the graphics guy, you're the preacher, you're the groups guy or girl.
Facilities guy.
You're doing it all. And man, if you are feeling pressed because you're doing more projects than you're spending time with people, Free Church Media is amazing. Go check it out. It's really incredible. And dude, speak a little bit to what you're doing right now, because you have Free Church Media, but I feel like you're kind of on this new venture, and you're into a new way to resource churches and to help the local church and pastors and men and women in ministry. What do you got your hands in doing right now?
Yeah, so just some context for anybody that's listening that hasn't met me. I was married a pastor's kid, and she's amazing. She is the reason why I'm here. She is a better preacher person leader than I will ever be. But so I married her, and then I was on staff at our church in Oklahoma City for almost a decade, led a summer camp, and we had a leadership conference in a college, and always had, was always into marketing. That's what I got my degree in. And I always loved just the whole side of it, promoting emails, the look, the feel, just mailers. I've literally done it all. And so I've always had my hand in that, like running websites and, blah, blah. And so it's always been an interest, always been something that I've been over or, usually a part of wherever I've been. And so I was the transition out of that, came down here to Fort Worth, part of a great church called Trademark Church here in Fort Worth. My wife's on staff, and I serve, and I get to help out. And my pastor is one of my really good friends, and it was fun. We actually got to travel this weekend to Louisiana, and we preached at a church, and he preached at one campus, and I preached at the other campus, and hung out. It's fun. I love the local church, and so I was moved down here and was working for a friend's agency, business development, and we mostly focused on businesses, and decided to step out on my own. And really, I love the church. I love the local church. I love pastors. That's the world I've been living in. And I realized even more being on the inside of, an agency, and seeing everything that there is, and all the tools and all the strategies, that the church just is, there's a lot of gaps that need to be filled, that are really, a lot of it's really easy. It's really easy strategy. It's kind of common sense stuff. It's not, some of it is, you get into SEO, and it's a whole nother world. But I really wanted to work.
Which if you don't know, SEO is search engine optimization. It's things that you do so that way when people type you in to Google or something like that, they can find you. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's great.
That's
great.
Know what SEO is. And
listen, no one knows, even if people say they know what SEO is, they don't even, it's the most underutilized, most powerful tool that any church or organization can invest in. But so anyway, so I realized there was a big gap, and I was like, man, this is my passion. This is what I love. This is where all my friends are. And so really I've started my own marketing consulting business, and really working and coming alongside pastors and churches and their teams, and helping them create custom tailored strategies that work, and really working with a team, whether it's strategies, tools, software. There's a whole world in helping them create the processes and procedures to grow their online presence, to be more effective on social media, to actually utilize email, to, again, I've interviewed and surveyed probably, almost probably 100, 150 pastors and churches. And out of those, 100, 150, I think only five of them said they had even heard about Google's ad grant, and only 4 or 5 of those people had actually applied and been approved, and only one of them was actually utilizing the ads to run. So it's there's things like that. I'm like, just do this. I don't you don't have to use me, you don't have to pay me, but man, you guys, we have to utilize that's $10,000 a month that Google is giving nonprofits. That's massive. You're talking anyways. So that's what I'm doing now. I do work with smaller local businesses here in Fort Worth and some friends. But I would say, the church world is what I love, and it's who I want to help. And I want to help churches reach more people. I want to help more people experience Jesus. I want to help pastors communicate the gospel better. We have the greatest stories, the greatest testimonies. We got the greatest book. We got the greatest content. And churches and pastors, they need someone to come alongside and help them. Hey, this is how. Here's the way to do it better, or to just start doing it. So that's what I'm doing now. It's been fun, and it's exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. Dude, I remember I was still in Northwest Arkansas when I first encountered the SEO world, and there was a guy at our church, and he works with Fortune 500 companies, and he does targeted ads for them. Mm-hmm. And so we were kind of in that world, and he was giving me even kind of some of the spooky facts about your phone listening to you, and how can you be talking about something and then it pop up. And he said, yeah, I do that. for businesses, on Wall Street. And he's like, and it's so frustrating for me to watch the church send mailers. It's so frustrating for me to watch the church not leverage this technology. And I don't think, and you talk about, you've surveyed hundreds of pastors and ministry leaders, and I don't think the issue is, in what I've experienced, people are against it. I think they're just super intimidated by technology and marketing. Like, we're not even touching the social media conversation yet, but like you said, when you hear SEO, if I said, hey, let's get you a Google Pixel on your URL, so that when people go to your website, we can tag your IP address and we can start funneling you to targeted ads, and we can see how much of Facebook videos you've watched or YouTube videos you've watched, and if you've watched this amount, it's going to target this. And people just automatically get freaked out, and they're like, man, I don't really know tech that much. And you add in AI conversations now, and it's just kind of like the church maybe is just poking, technology with a stick and being like, okay, what do we do? What is it? So I don't know, man, speak to what's the simple stuff? Like, what's the stuff that as you watch it, you're like that guy talking to me and you're like, man, it just frustrates me so much to watch ministries or the church who have the greatest message in the world, who have the hope of the world, who have the gospel. It's frustrating to watch me miss, or it's frustrating for me to watch them miss an opportunity to market in this way. What are some of those big things that just jump off the page at you or the screen?
And frustrating. It's more, for churches that I know that I believe in, that they're life-giving, they're, that's like churches that I want to help, friends or whatever. I think it's tough because I think there are some simple things out there that I'm like, man, why? Like, but I get it. It's the same thing with resources. We're budgets are limited. People are limited. You got to do ministry. So a lot of times it's, you got your kids pastor, your worship pastor, you got your youth pastor, you got your senior pastor. And then when it comes to the communication side, the marketing side, the social media side, it usually gets, it's a volunteer, or it's kind of someone's second tier thing in, whatever it may be. Or they just don't know, or, I mean, there's many reasons. I think the simple things that I've seen, and the simple things that I usually tell pastors or churches, people in ministry, is one of the things is your Google business profile. It is one of the easiest, freest, simplest strategies to increase your Google rank. And that way, when people are searching for a, church near them, or, whatever, that you're at the top within that radius. And it's literally super simple. It's like, you just update photos, post on it. Cause most churches, they really only post on Facebook and Instagram, and then they stream their services on YouTube. And then that's really it. But I tell them, like, if you ask me, hey, if I could only post on one thing between like Google Business Profile and Facebook and Instagram, I would literally tell you, forget both of those and just focus on your Google Business Profile. And I promise you'll get more website traffic, and you'll get more people coming to your church, and they're going to start going, oh, I found you guys on Google. I found you guys on Google. I mean, that's, for our church, that's the number one thing. It's Google and word of mouth. And then every once in a while, it's like a Facebook or a TikTok. But for the most part, it's literally Google, word of mouth, Google, word of mouth. I mean, that's it. And I'll say this, like, we're in a very large town, and we have 6 other churches like within a baseball throw of our building.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're just the only one. I mean, there's churches right there. That's the one thing that I'm like, if I could give, the easiest, freest strategy that you can do for your church, and you can look like a hero, and you can see almost immediate like feedback from your website, is your Google Business Profile. I mean, it is a gold mine. And most churches I've seen, they don't post on it. They don't upload photos. They don't get reviews. I know it's weird. People are like, how do you get reviews for your church? I tell my friends and people I talk to, I'm like, listen, use reviews like testimonies. Like, what's your serve team or people in your church, like, what's your experience been? Like, what do you like about this church? It's not like this is an awesome church. It's like, share your personal experience and use it as like a testimony. Like, how would you invite someone to your church? Okay, get a review. And I'm telling you, reviews are one of the most important pieces of that strategy. And most churches aren't getting that. And you can separate. I mean, when it comes to marketing, advertising, branding, all works together. But there's almost no competition. I know we're not in competition with other churches, but I'm saying it's so much easier to do these things because you don't have a lot of our other churches posting on Google, or they're not investing in SEO. Their websites are bad or slow, or they're confusing. It's, there's whatever it may be. I would say Google Business would be one of the big things. And there's other little things that I've seen, and you've seen me post about it, but I would say using social media and even, websites, announcements, using everything as like a billboard or a bulletin. It's like you have the greatest content, the greatest stories of any business organization, and we're just posting, the next sermon series or, this event. It's like no one there's a reason why no one follows and wants to engage with your church, your social media, or even pastors. It's like, man, like you could reach so many more people and help so many more people Monday through Saturday by even just taking your sermons and breaking them down into texts and blog posts and stuff like that. But it just, whatever the excuse or reason is, it doesn't happen. And I'm like, man, we gotta help. I want to help these guys. Like, listen, you can take Sunday and literally stretch it all the way through the rest of the week just by your sermons that you spent 20, 30, 40, 50 hours on. Like, and then, the testimonies from prayer or someone, getting baptized. Oh my God, it's like I would much rather, like, coming up with content and strategies for churches is so much easier than like a business. Cause it's like, if I'm working with a plumber or a realtor, it's like, there's only so much stuff that people really care about,
you got to dig it up. You got to like create it. You got to work hard to make something. And we're already delivering 30 to 45 minutes. If you're preaching 45 minutes, you're preaching too long, by the way, but 30 minutes of content a week, unless you're Manny Arango. I'll let Manny Arango preach to me for 45 minutes. I know Manny's your boy. Manny, if you're watching, hey man, I'm your biggest fan. But honestly, speaking of Manny, one of the great things that he does is you just watch him, dude. Most of his Instagram reels, and I know we're kind of jumping back and forth between Google and Instagram and social media, but he just sits down in the middle of a coffee shop and he starts talking about what he's been preaching about, and he's just, you got everything going behind him. He doesn't have it looks great and his content's good because he's from the overflow. But like one of the things that we're influenced a lot at SSM is by Manny, in his first podcast, Mic'd Up with Manny, where he just stayed mic'd up all day and he just walked around and, did that. It's like, okay, you have the content piece because you're preaching. You have the content piece because you have all the testimonies of all that God's doing and all the people in your church where they can leave reviews. Google is this big giant of a organism and organization that you can create a business profile on, that even if your website is lacking, or like maybe you're the young guy and you're frustrated because you're on a church staff that's like not prioritizing a website, prioritize your Google business profile. Like let that at least be the thing that comes up, is what I'm hearing you say. But then on top of that, if you're frustrated and you're like, well, hey, our church doesn't have budget for these ads or whatever, dude, like you said in the opener, Google gives a grant. Like when I saw you posting about that, I got with our comms director. I was like, hey, do you know about the Google grant? Because one of my friends is posting about this, and we do it, dude. We get the grant and it practically funds all of our targeted ads and all of our stuff from Google. So could you talk a little bit about that grant and what it is and how you can get it?
And two, for people listening, I don't know how they can, if I've got a link in my Instagram and stuff where I basically put together a guide on step by step. Here's what it is. Here's how you apply. It's super simple. It's not complicated. Anyone can do it. Like if I can do it, like anyone can do it. But really, so Google they have basically a nonprofit side of what they do. And they basically, if you have a 501c3, if your church has a determination letter, you can apply for this, and you have to apply through Google, and you apply through this other company called TechSoup. And then once you apply, it usually takes a week or two to get kind of go back and forth and get approved. But if you get a 501c3, you're going to get approved because most churches have websites. They have everything that they require. Now, with the Google Grant ads, there are some requirements. So you do need to do some reading. In that guide, it'll tell you everything. But literally, you just apply, and then hey, congratulations. And then not only do you get $10,000 a month, you get Google Workspace for free. So all your emails for your organization or church, you don't have to pay for those. And then with TechSoup, did you get discounts on like Adobe, Grammarly, Otter, Dell, Microsoft? I mean, there's hundreds of companies. And so not only, even if you don't set up the ads, you're at least going to save some money on some products and stuff. Because that's one thing when I was on staff at our church is, we had to hustle and grind because budget was tight. And so I just started, Googling free stuff, discounts, blah, blah. And that's how I found out about a lot of this stuff. Cause it was like, wow, there's a lot of discounts out there. Like Basecamp has discounts and Trello, I think, has discounts. And then, it's just a crazy list of what's out there. But yeah, that's the simplest part is you get the ads and then you just got to set them up, and Google will help you. They'll walk you through the process of getting those set up if you don't have the budget to, part of what I offer is helping people set up their ads, run those, manage those, all that stuff. But everything's out there on the internet. So it's like, if you need ideas on how to do it, or YouTube, I mean, it's all out there. If you just have a little bit of time and you can read and follow directions, man, get those ads going, even if it's just a little bit, because you're going to see traction and people are going to come to your church from those ads, and it costs you nothing.
Yeah, I think people think when it comes to ads, they're like, oh, I got to get in a dark, dimly lit room and just code. Dude, it's so easy. It's so really simple, you guys. And
I'll say this: Google ads are simpler, easier, I think, than setting up Meta ads. And Meta, now they've taken away all the Christian stuff, so you can't. It's harder to target people on Meta because you can't target interest based around Christianity or stuff like that, on which you shouldn't always, because we're not just trying to attract Christians. We're trying to attract people who are hurting, lost, searching, all that stuff. But I think Google ads is easier and more effective than Meta ads.
Yeah. So you've got Google, you got Meta, you got ads for both. Google will give you a grant. So if you're thinking, okay, Pat, I don't have somebody on staff. Hey, a need seen is an assignment given. It's you. Okay. You're listening to this episode for a reason, and you can get it set up. It's easy. Whether you just go Google it yourself. We'll link in the show notes to Chandler and his profile and everything he does. I highly recommend you going to him. When we got started, we went to somebody and they got us set up, and it's an easier process. It's more simple. Somebody who can set you up with some scalability as well. So like as it grows, hey, what do we want to do if this thing actually works? And I would say that's probably a back end conversation that maybe is a second podcast. Like, hey, your ads took off. Are you ready to handle 500 new people? Like if 100 new people walk through your door, are you ready for that? But so you have the platforms, you have the organizations, you can get the money because Google does grants. And so you can fund some ads, you get discounts on all these other amazing applications. Yeah. So that's the website of it. You've got people in your church who hopefully God's done something in their life. They can leave you a review. And I love that idea about the simple strategy of, hey, just make the review a testimony story, that's so easy. Like we live in the world of content. Okay, I want to shift really quick and also talk about social media, because we were talking a little bit about this before we started recording, just about, okay, if the ads world is really kind of intimidating because I think I have to code, and because I don't understand Google, or maybe I don't understand the digital marketing space, and I don't have the budget. On the other side of that, you have this big giant, which is social media, and what do I do with it? And you got influencers and you got the algorithm, and it's like so many people, they walk up to it and they're like, oh no, where do I start? What do I do?
For sure.
What's your thoughts about marketing also with social media and not just Google and targeted ads, which by the way, you can do targeted ads with social media too. So if you have stuff on that, but I don't know, man, I'd love to pick your brain and just get your thoughts on that.
Yeah. I mean, advertising stuff, again, and it's funny because people talk about marketing and they throw everything. Like when someone says like, I'm in marketing, it's like, I'm okay. What does that mean? Because are you social media? Do you make graphics? Are you a website coder? Are you are you email? It's people lump. It's marketing is such this generic. Everyone has their kind of own thought about it, and so for me, that's one of the things. For me, it's like I want to help churches and pastors okay, let's look. Everything is holistically. Everything matters and works together. Your branding matters. Your messaging matters. Your culture matters. Your website matters. Your emails matter. It all plays together, and it is a lot. But when it comes to social media is a lot. I mean, honestly, even for me, it took me some time and research to figure out, okay, what do I want? How do I want to do this? How what's a good way for me? Where do I get the ideas? And luckily, I'm blessed to have some good friends. But really, a lot of it is I'm somewhat copying, or I found somebody that I like. I've got a couple of people that I follow that they're not Christians. They're content creators. They're designers. One of them, she's a brand strategist. Another guy he's a graphic whatever. And a lot of what I'm doing, I just ripped off of them, rebranded it myself. Yeah. And even the content, I'm taking people's content and I'm making it my own, because it's there's no point. I'm not a creative genius or whatever, but I think for me, I just had to simplify. Okay, what do I like? I got my brand. I got my brand guide. I got my colors. I go on Canva and create stuff. It's not, it's funny. People are like, man, those stuff looks good. The branding's good. Now, obviously I had one of my good friends, I'm blessed to have, is an amazing graphic designer. So but once he did my branding and, my logos and stuff, then I just put it in Canva. It's Canva's free for churches if you apply to it. And then, I literally keep my camera on my desk, and most days I'm not a great planner. I have a conversation like this and it sparks an idea. And then I just turn the camera on. I'm like, hey guys, actually just talk about this with someone else. Why not, even now, we're recording this. I have my camera recording. So then later on I can cut up this, 45-minute video into 5, 6, 7 videos. And this is going to give me content probably for this entire week. It's kind of, you just got to simplify it, get your message. But even for pastors and churches, man, take your sermons, take past sermons and expound upon them. Teach people how to pray, teach people. My friend, I don't know if you know Christian Velez. He's blowing up, and it's just 3 things to pray about, 3 ways to read the Bible. It's nothing, and I'll say this, it is a lot, because it's funny. I'm actually, my dad is an amazing man, leader, father, husband, Christian. And so he always sends out these long texts on Fridays to his family and friends. And it's kind of an encouragement, kind of a, preach Bible. And I'm like, Dad, just get on social media, just get a video. He ordered him, he got him those little cheap lab mics for his phone. Yeah. He's ordered him a little ring light. And I've just been working with him. I'm like, listen, Dad, just people need to hear this content. It's great. Just record it. I'm like, Dad, it doesn't even have to look good. No one cares if it looks professional. I think people actually like it when it looks a little crappy, because they get intimidated, or it's when it's a professional studio and lighting's perfect. It's do they just want to, they just, if it's good content and you got some decent lighting, man, record it, put it out, put it in, put it into format and get it out there. So anyways.
No, dude, I think that's good. I think what you got to realize, and even with this podcast, dude, I hope, in 20 episodes from now, we go back to episode 1 and we just cringe and go, oh God. But what we knew is, if we don't start, then we're never going to do it. And so Mike Todd said something on Carey Nieuwhof's podcast that really resonated with me. This is a while ago, and when Carey was interviewing him about transformation, and I think it's right after they bought their building or whatever, and he was just talking to him about it. But he said that the secret of transformation's blow up, outside of the power of the Holy Spirit, obviously don't email me, but was that they had all this other content. And he's like, so it was a relationship series or something that blew him up, one video. And
January
because people
2019.
saw it, they're like, oh, they're like, who is this Mike Todd guy? And they had all this other stuff. And he's like, man, if we would have waited, if we would have waited until that one blew up, we would have people, they wouldn't have been able to fill their appetite on what they felt like was stirring inside of them.
And it blew up on Twitter, and he didn't even have a Twitter.
Yeah. And so like what I'm thinking is, okay, if you're a communicator, so if you're a student pastor, if you're even a children's pastor, if you're
Yeah.
in ministry and you're giving content, even if you're leading team meetings or whatever you're doing, hack your life and set a camera up and record yourself. And in one 30-minute sermon, do you know how many reels you could crank out? Do you know how many sound bites you could crank out? Do you know
A
how
lot.
many TikToks you could make? Like, and that's the other thing, like realizing that content is king. And that's the statement, not really well polished content, not perfect lighting content, not perfect audio content. All those things matter. No, it's just content is king. So if your
Mhm.
message is good enough to preach, it's good enough to exist for 30 seconds on TikTok and Instagram Reel and a YouTube short. And oh, by the way, that's one piece of content you made posted on 3 different platforms.
Mhm.
And Brady Shearer posted something today, the day that we're recording this. And, there were some things, let me just tiptoe around this. There were some things said by like a super popular pastor who even I look up to, just about how social media is pointless. But the irony is that that pastor in that church has massive social media reach. Like their top 3 videos pinned have over like 2 million views.
Yeah.
And so like there's this, okay, we're preaching content that we think is worth our prep time and our prayer time and to fill rooms full of people. But wouldn't you want that to exist longer than 30 minutes in the room?
Yeah, for sure.
So why wouldn't you just record what you're doing, split it up and put it out there and throw the seed and let God determine like what kind of soil that's going to land in and how it might grow. And so social media is a big tool for that. And then you even get into that of like targeted ads in social media, Um,
Yeah.
so what, yeah, I don't know, dude. What do you
Well, I'll
think
say
about?
this just to, I think for someone maybe who's wrestling with it or has thought about it, I want to encourage you, if you've got the right heart and you're it's not a pride thing, and which I know it can be an issue, and it's not about you, but if you really whatever content it is, one, if you're feeling like just do it. Press record. Sean Cannell with Think Media, you should follow him. He's amazing. YouTube cameras, setups, everything. I mean, I literally just do whatever they say.
Yeah.
He literally says press record. Just start recording, start putting it out there, start making carousels, get on Canva, share the content. Who cares what people think? You might have some people that are following you, or what do they think it's about? Who cares? If it's good content and it's helping people, put it out, because I'm thankful for content that people put out on social media, because I'm always learning, like TikTok, and I've people that I'm reading their posts and listening to their stuff, and I've learned so much from social media, and I'm glad people that put out stuff, because I don't read a lot of books. I wish I read more, but I'm learning every day because I have people that I follow in different areas that put out great content. And I'm so glad that they do, because I wouldn't be able to get that I probably have to, spend money to be in some mastermind and to whatever, but they're putting it out. And my thing is that if you have content and you have the heart behind it and you really want to help people, share information, encourage people, and just start doing it, and forget who follows you, unfollows you. Just literally start posting. And it's funny because I kind of had that. I wrestled with that a little bit. Like, what people are going to think. And what's funny is I started posting stuff and people were actually like, man, hey, great content, or thanks for that. Or, I appreciate you sharing that. And like, it's been surprising, honestly. Like, I really didn't I almost just did it. Like, let's just see what happens. And people have been actually like super encouraging. People like even have new friends that are, guys that are like, we kind of came in together and hey, let's try to figure it out. What's working for you? And so I just want to encourage someone, like, listen, if the content's good, or, I think utilize the platform for good. And I think more pastors and more people need to be putting out good content, especially if it is about prayer and Jesus and testament. Like, we need that stuff. Like, we've got to fill these voids, these gaps. And if you're not into it, great. Get out of the conversation, leave us alone. And we got to find the people that want to come into this space and bring life, bring the good news, talk about things, encourage people, bring hope. Like, let's do it. Like, that's like, I don't care what people, think. And if the heart's there and the content's there, man, just get your phone out, start a blog, start writing, start putting content out. And I promise you, if you're consistent, you're going to see people, like, you're going to help people, and people are going to be thankful for you.
Yeah, that's good. Dude, that's really good. All right. If you were doing, youth ministry or taking over as a senior pastor or whatever, you fill in the blank. If you were starting all over and everything now about Google, and which, I mean, I just want to touch on that again, and we'll link a lot of all this in the show notes, but like, just do the Google thing, man. I mean, get the email stuff. If you're not using Google Drive and Docs and all that stuff that comes with it, and the advertising it's worth it. You need to do it. But if you're starting all over again, what are you doing? How are you setting yourself up so that way marketing can be, and like true marketing, all encompassing marketing, like you were talking about, how are you operating so that way the gospel message, the message that has the power to transform people's eternities and their right now and the world, how are you setting yourself up to market that in today's culture?
So, man, that's a pretty big question, because it's you've got the functional side, like the tool side, and then you have the kind of the messaging heart behind it. You know what I'm saying? So like, if I look at it like tool side, for me, things that I've learned that I wish I would have had a long time ago is like having a brand guide, knowing not just what the logos and the colors are, but also how do we talk about things? Who are we? Like, what's our culture? So that way, when people are, whether they're talking, they're on social media, they're on the stage, we're all talking, we're all saying the same things, the same ways. And honestly, my pastor, he's does this so good. He has these little phrases about, we pray about everything because prayer can change anything. Generosity is our privilege. Serving is our joy. And he just, I still MC, these things are ingrained because I hear him say it all the time. It's on the walls. It's on social media. It's on our brand guide. It's on our social media playbook. Like, those are the things that it's important as far as branding, but it's also, it allows people to come and be a part and kind of, know what to say and what things are important and how to post things and, what colors you use. And you don't have everybody in the organization using 12 different fonts and 12 different colors and, redoing the logo, and, your ministries have their own branding and their own name. And it's like, no, like, you can't, don't do that. Like, you gotta know who you are, know what those things are. And then when you do it, it just makes everything easier. It makes building a team. Like, hey, welcome to the social media team. Here's the playbook. Here's how you post. Here's what we post. Here's when we post. This is what we do. This is what we don't do. And you don't have, it just makes it easier to build teams and to put those things in order. But then on I'd say on like the messaging side, again, it's like a brand guide. I think you need to know, who are you? What is the culture? Who is our, target audience? Who are we trying to reach? We're not just trying to reach Christians. We're not trying to get other Christians from other churches to come to our church. It's like, man, we got to talk about, and figure out ways to reach people that are, that are hurting, that are searching online for, prayer or, marriage problems, addiction, like all those things. I think matter. But yeah, I think, if I was starting over, for me, even starting my own business, it's like one of the first things I did was I got a brand guide. I got my colors. I worked on my messaging so that way when people ask me what I do and how I do things, I can quickly, clearly communicate. This is what I do. This is the people I work with. Like those things, knowing who you are, knowing what you're doing and who you're talking to, it all matters. And it makes it simpler to when it comes to content and emails and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully that helps.
No, that's really good. I was about to segue that with this idea and let you just go off on this for a minute. But I went to Grow Regional. They came to Houston, and Pastor Chris Hodges was talking about, he loves to say this. I've heard him say it before, but, models over methods. And you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
adopt the best model. He's like, you all drove here in a car. None of you decided to try and create your own car. And if people are doing stuff that's working, like figure out that model and the best model for your church and use it. And I feel like that's the same thing with a lot of this social media and digital and marketing. And I'm so refreshed to hear you talk about marketing that starts with a style guide. Like that's such a big piece of it. But okay, so in that vein, like maybe just to end and wrap up is like, okay, we've done the practical, we've talked about Google, we talked about whatever, but what are some people, what are some models that we could look at right now? Like who's influencing you, who's crushing it? Who can we look at their Instagram and look at their Google, business and like their website and their reviews? Like who's just crushing it that we all should be trying to adopt that model?
I'm trying to, I would say right off the top, as far as in the church world, in my opinion, I think they're some of the best pastors, leaders on the earth. And I think creatively, they've got probably the most creative people on their team. And that, I mean, VU Church absolutely dominate. They do everything excellent. Like,
yeah,
I mean, they just absolutely, I mean, it's in there. I would say for them, for most people, it's tough because they're in a creative town. They've got like legitimate designers that are just helping out. I forget what the guy's name. It's like he's got art at Art Basel or whatever. So that would be like the pinnacle. Like they're just but. I mean, I think that's
Jerry Lorenzo weighing in on your merch, just being
I would say, but that for me, I think that's a good place as far as inspiration ideas. I think I'm trying to think who else. There's quite a few churches. I think Jabin Chavez, because of him, and then because of Omar and Sean,
Omar is if you don't follow him, we'll link him.
That's my boy, dude. I love that dude.
Well, will you text him after we end that he's changed,
dude.
And Simply Strategic Ministry forever.
Oh, he is. I would say if you ask me personally a question like, hey, who is someone even around content creating, marketing, who's someone that has influenced you or has made a massive impact? He has single-handedly just been an absolute cheat code in life when it comes to videos for myself, for my church, camera stuff, shots, presets, lenses. I mean, the reason why I have a Sony camera right here is because I'm just like, Omar, what? And he's just like, get this one. I'm like, yes, sir. Like, I don't ask questions. I just, whatever Omar says, I do.
My entire podcast setup is from his YouTube videos, especially when, like this. I bought this mic, I bought this stand, I bought this interface, like our camera setup, like everything. The aperture 6.3 on your iPhone because it looks more realistic. Thanks, Omar. Like all of that, stuff for under $50. It is simple, guys. It's simple. It's strategic. You can do it.
For sure.
And there are
if
guys
I can do it, anybody can do it. Because I'm not a graphics person. I don't like editing videos to this day. It's like the bane of my existence. Like sitting down and having it, everything's out there, and you really don't have to spend any money. You can find free everything. And now with AI, when I get stuck on stuff, I'm using this one called Jounce. It's free, and I'll ask, give me some ideas. I'll have it write me a blog, give me an outline of a script. Like it's great. It's like I have my own little team.
Yeah. You get your own personal assistant. So there's so many guys out there. I was going to plug Omar and Jabin and City Light in Vegas. I think they're great. If you're not with Chandler, talk about VU Church, you can sign up to be a part of VU Friends and Family, and they give a lot of their resources away, and like even their social media, their playbooks, and a lot of that stuff you can find there. And then of course Chandler will link to him in our show notes, but you can get to him on Instagram and use his services to help you better market the message that you feel like God's given you for your ministry or your church. And all of those, and all those avenues that are available to you, from Google to Meta to, YouTube and TikTok until it gets banned in America, whatever.
Yeah.
I just saw Canada banned it or whatever, but
Who
all
knows?
the things,
Whatever.
man. Marketing, you can do it. You should be marketing. It's more than just mailers, church, capital C. It's more than email. So much more than that. Chandler, thanks for joining, dude.
Dude, absolutely. It's been a blast. I could keep. I like literally could keep. This is yeah. We could keep talking about this for hours because it's the thing is too. And I like to say this to make people feel like, especially when it comes to the world of marketing, it is a lot. So there are simple things to do, and we talked about, I think, some of the very like basic kind of starters. You should be doing it, but I mean, we didn't even get into emails. Like, most churches aren't sending emails, and if they're sending emails, they're terrible. No one opens them because you don't know how to write them. You don't know how to, all this stuff. And but I want to say that to say, like, it is a lot. So just start somewhere, like make the small tweaks. Because my opinion, at some level, if you're a church or a pastor, if you get to some certain level, you need to find someone, hire someone, pay to get someone trained to help you with everything, because it's its own world. It's like having a volunteer kids pastor at some point, or youth pastor. You're gonna have to bring someone on full time to really be the most effective. And that's not every church, and that's fine. But it is a lot, and you just got to just start with the simple things, and then slowly add and dig, and then eventually find someone that's in your world that has an interest, a young person that's in college, and encourage them, pay for them, give them the resources, and let them dive in and figure it out, because it is a lot. I mean, it's its own. I mean, there's a reason why there's so many marketing companies, because it is such a powerful tool, and there's so many things that comes to marketing beyond just social and ads, and it's a big world. So I just want to encourage people, just start somewhere. If you need help, if you have questions, I'm a real person. I respond to my DMs, I respond to my emails. Don't be afraid to literally ask me dumb questions or whatever. I'm here to help, and that stuff helps me too, because I want to know. I'm still diving deep in what are the pain points, what are the things that people don't understand, what are the things that I need to talk about or I need to research about that can really help. So if you have questions, please hit me up. I'd love to chat with you.
Yeah, for sure. Connect with Chandler. Don't be intimidated by his Instagram profile and who he knows and who knows him. He's a G. He's not too big for anybody. He doesn't big league you. He texts you back.
Listen, I paid for all my friends. If you want to have friends, just give them money, dude. It's the easiest way.
No, dude, we honestly probably need to have you back on a podcast that just talks about, how to network and add value to people and grow your ministry circle and sphere of influence.
I would love that. I would actually, that's actually like, I love that topic, because I think I've realized that a lot of people, well, we're all insecure. And so a lot of times we let our insecurities keep us from pursuing and building relationships with people. And so, that would be a fun one. I also want to do one. I need to have you guys on, and then I want to do one on like I've had this idea where, like, I want to talk about like bad marketing, like bad graphics, bad websites, because I want to start putting visuals for people so they get like actual, like, oh, that's not good. Okay, yeah, that's us. Like
Papyrus. Oh, like, hey, go to your website.
One of the best SNL skits ever is Papyrus.
Yeah, and go to your church website right now. And if your service times are not in your header and you don't have a call to action button that I can click,
and directions, your address. If your address, yes. If you're, that is my biggest pet peeve. If I don't see like plan a visit, direction request, service times in the first scroll, I'm just like, no one, you're losing people. Like, they're literally not. I can't find where you guys are located. Like, and you'd be surprised, because I've looked at a lot of websites and I'm like, no, where are you? Like, whatever. Like, I literally was doing a meeting with this church, And I actually sent them the wrong church website because it was similar and in the same town. They were like, "Oh, that's not ours." I'm like, "Well, I didn't know because there was no address anywhere.
Yeah.
And so I just assumed this was yours."
It's like point proven.
Yeah. This is why you need me.
Yeah. Well, dude, thanks for jumping on. Look forward. Love to come bash on bad church websites. We love the church, though. Just all jokes, all love.
I love it. Yeah.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for adding value. Hey, y'all, thanks for listening. I hope today that you picked up some simple strategies and scalable systems to help you grow your ministry like never before. We'll see you next time. No. Love you, Landon.